Hi everyone, welcome to the Matrix Oracle. My name is Audrey. I am here for the new moon in Scorpio. So November 13th, 2023. I'm gonna wait, see if we have some people out there that want to tune in as far as what's upcoming for this new cycle of intention. We have at the full moon, at the new moon, at the new moon, we have a new cycle that starts. I felt that I wanted to be more in my environment instead of that green screen behind because I really felt I wanted to show you how I do it, like as far as myself. I have my computer, I got my little notes. Some of you, if you're watching this, you want to make sure that you're taking notes. If that's something that interests you, thank you. I made this. I'm so proud of it. I love crochet. Some of you even send me some crochet videos and tutorials, and I'm like, yeah. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's upcoming, and a lot is diving into the subconscious. So what we're going to do, so you have, some of you know a little bit about astrology. I am going to show you what's going on, okay, with that. All right, that's the new moon. Make sure that that's the right picture. Yes. All right, so we're going to talk like this, and hopefully some of you know a little bit about the signs and the planets, the symbols. Yes. So what happens when we have those moon events? They have specific time. So some of you, if that's something you want to dial in and do a synastry and compare your chart with the new moon, you would actually enter November 13th, 2023 at 4:27 a.m. Now, this is Eastern time, according to where you live. So for me, I live on the other coast. So I still put that time because at the time that I did this on my computer and account, I was on the East Coast. But it doesn't matter. You pick a town that's on the East Coast in the States, even if you live in India, in Australia, whatever, okay? But that's, again, for the ones that like to learn more about astrology. Now, astrology is a tool of ascension. It's a tool of enlightenment. It's a tool for you to be able to see and experience and feel life in a higher way, okay? Hi, everyone. I'm seeing everyone like that I know here. Hi. So we start the story always with the first house. First house you see is where we have Libra and Scorpio, okay? And we have a lot that's going on, and that's exactly where we have the new moon. Now, Scorpio is a yin zodiac sign, but the first house is a yang energy. So right away, we know that we're gonna have to dive deep into balancing the yin and the yang, okay? Especially that the degrees of this new moon speaks of contemplation, meditation. Okay, I'm just a messenger. Now, we have conjunct, so that means dancing next to this, Mars. Mars in the same theme. Mars is your master teacher of energy in motion that leads you to action. So you're going to want to dive deep into what drives you. Now, we don't see it, but if you look on the right side, on the opposite, you have the North Node with Chiron there. That means the South Node is on the opposite, exactly where we also have what is called the part of fortune. So, part of fortune in tarot, this is the wheel of fortune. So that means there's potential for things to change. Now, from my personal experience with this point, especially that I have mine on my Venus retrograde. Okay, so I've learned a lot about that part of fortune. In the Wheel of Fortune, you can either ascend or descend. And we have here the South Node. Okay, so South Node, exactly where we have the part of fortune. And that's kind of a signal for us to know that when we go back into our memories, when we go back to our experience, we have to watch how we let that energy spiral us, whether upward or downward, okay? And that means there is probably a momentum there, especially the ones that have PTSD, CPTSD, any type of trauma, any type of experience that hasn't been processed. This is happening with the part of fortune, with the South Node on the horizon line, where your soul rises. So that means that you're going to probably this whole 28 days have the opportunity as you start your day to be able to see deeply how you feel and open up deeper in deeper ways what is the true maybe nature of that ailment or that discomfort or that anxiety or that PTSD or that depression or whatever has been ailing you, burdening you, and it's something that is old and recurring again and again. So this is very deep, and you know that, you guys, I don't like to talk about things that are like a struggle sometimes without having solutions. So I woke up with this energy and I didn't have that figured out just yet. And I woke up and I had like this whole PTSD movie playing in my head, and I was like, what the F is going on? And how do I address it? Obviously meditation, but what really helped me was to use the yin yang frequency playlist. Okay, there's in your body, in your cells, all your organs, they play a song. And when you're facing energies, situations, people that trigger your trauma or trigger things that you're not aware are there, there's a certain song that starts to play. Just like, this thing, yeah, you can never have that. Who do you think you are? Nobody loves you. There's like this weird tune, as if like there's a frequency shift that happens, okay? So take all of this with a grain of salt, because having this from the cosmos is highly beneficial for us. Because it wants us, the universe wants us, God wants us, Source wants us to get rid of that symphony that sounds more like or I don't know how your symphony sounds when it's like, but at least that's the two I thought of. Some type of like creep or some type of like doom. Okay, so we are being blessed with with realizing what type of song is the grand formidable sound. So what type of song is playing in the background? Okay, some of you, if you've been going on my Telegram, there was an article or video that I posted about 11 oddly weird response to childhood trauma, and one of them speaks of a buzzing fridge, and that's that. Dun, dun, dun. Or I used to have that one. Don't say like people. And it was interesting because at some point in my life, I used to associate a ringtone to each family member. And now that I'm saying all this, I'm realizing that was the energy that I was feeling when they were calling me. That's how I picked their tone. So I have a question here that says, how can we change it once aware? Okay, that's a very good question. My only answer is through sound. And I'll tell you why. Because if you are having experienced a lot of trauma, there's a shift in the brain waves that occur. I'm not playing a frequency right now. No. There might be a buzz. there might be my washing machine that's doing something in the background. So that's to illustrate, we'll say that. To illustrate our story. So what I was saying is that when you have experienced trauma, there's a shift in your brainwave, okay? And when you are meditating and doing any type of shadow work, you want to be in a brainwave state that allows you to be in that super consciousness, okay? A lot of the frequencies that I do, they have sometimes embedded certain like gamma, lambda brainwaves that are opening up super conscious awareness, okay? Because we already vibrate super high when we are going in that state of frenzy, but just beyond when you go and vibrate higher, there is that super state of consciousness that you can attain when you meditate. Monks have been, tested to actually show those type of brain waves. Okay, so that's how I personally do it. I am able through frequency to sit with whatever. So this morning, that whole CPTSD and I'm like, okay, Audrey, we are not able to live like this. And I'm like, you know the drill. Put on your headphones, baby. Okay, so I put my headphones and I'm like, where do I start? So I have, I meditate a couple of times a day, okay? Obviously, this is important for what I do and for what I compose. So I'm not saying that's for everyone's prescription. So I start with my routine, my regular, but what led me really for this particular cycle is going to be the quantum fascia, that is the structure that you have built upon linked to trauma. Okay, so that would be a first prescription that I would give you, the whole playlist. Then I would say that, where did I go? Yeah, there is certain organs, the playlist for the organs, according to what you experience in your body, you might be able to know what organs are being triggered, okay, and what they create. And if you don't know, you can just play the yin yang frequency playlist. If you're feeling that you're too yang, too much in your mind, okay, you might want to listen to the yin, see how you feel. Listen to the yang, see how you feel. Play them together. It's really prescription according to the person, so I can't really give everyone like a pattern. Again, that's when people get to readings or sessions with me, this is the type of thing we talk about. And this is why I do what I do, because I don't like to talk about astrology and things that are coming and say like, well, yeah, good luck with that, y'all. We're gonna be called to contemplate on all our traumas and shadows, and that's gonna be a fun party. So we're gonna make it fun. We're gonna make it fun. We're gonna find the laughter. But yeah, that's going to be do sound frequency sound on YouTube really work. Listen, you can see how people respond to mine. I like to put a lot of the details. If you read the description, I explain to you how I engineer this. I remember when I went to music college, I had this class called music technology, and I saw this machine. It was in 1996, okay? And I saw this machine and I looked at it. I was just like, everybody went to sit and I just went to the machine and I looked at the machine like this and I'm like, can you imagine if we could heal people with sound? And then I just laughed and I was like, what? And freaking decades later, this is what I'm doing. Thank you so much, Lorena, for the badge and the support. So again, it's going to be depending on your sensitivity. For me, it took me a whole year of brain frequency healing to even be able to meditate. I was just so shot in my nervous system that I could only do it at night to fall asleep. So if that's your case, if you've been in survival mode for God knows how long, and you can't meditate, thank you so much, Evelyn. Please just do it at night. Just fall asleep to it, okay? Okay? It's going to help you just slowly and move all this as you work through this, okay? All right, so that's the first busy part of that new moon intention. It wants to free our light, because underneath all those responses, those like automatic reaction, like a machine, like a robot, you know, there is the true authentic self. There's the you that has this whole soul that dances and that enjoys life and that sees gratitude everywhere. So that's where we want to go, okay? So, and then one word that is coming up for me a lot is fear. Okay, Sasik, I see you 1111. I hope I said that right. Fear. I have a frequency if fear is a big factor, which is actually a good point. So thank you for pointing this out. Because Libra, where you have the rising there, Libra in Chinese medicine, acupuncture is connected to your bladder. We know that bladder can feel a little weakened when we're in fear. We pee ourselves, okay? That happens a lot to kids when we're young. So here, we want to listen to the bladder, but you might also want to do the psoas frequency that helps with releasing the energy of anxiety and fear. Okay, so again, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of prescription as we go. This is all depending on what I feel back and forth. So I trust this is helping you. If you try it, please give me some comments. Your feedback is just so important to me. Even if it's like, that didn't feel like that, or I felt like that, because all your reaction to sound is actually, it's a vibrational mirror. So it can help pull out some of the you don't know that's there, okay? So I don't care. Some people will be like, hey, y'all, I'll start thinking about my ex. I've had a lot of people that, would leave me messages and they're just like, I don't know why I started thinking about that person, blah, 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 blah. And that's like the mental chatter. The mental chatter that is being pulled out of the resonance. Thank you so much. Can you say that again, please, so I can write it down? Okay, so bladder, it's in the 12 organ frequency. You guys, if you have fear, please, that's important. The bladder organ and the psoas frequency, it's in my empath survival kit. Okay? Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate the question. I'm here for that. All right, let's move on to the second house where we have Mercury. Okay, Mercury in Sagittarius. Mercury is our master teacher of knowledge. And y'all, okay, I don't have any Texas. I'm French by it. But I pick up like stuff everywhere. My English is just, I learn English through movies, so bear with me. Mercury is in the placement that speaks of elevation, transcending. So I like this because the second house is the house where the embodiment of the energy of our higher self in the first house is coming more and more into the physical body. So second house is very close to the first layer of body, and it's showing you that Mercury, the one that helps you think, the one that helps you master, is going to help you through this alignment to transcend some of those feelings, beliefs, mental structure, whatever mental prisons and things that we've been trapped into. And when I said mental prison, that brings us to the third house where we have Pluto. Right there, this is the master teacher of transformation, okay? Through sometimes destructuring. Now, it's still in the last degrees of Capricorn that speaks of mental prison. Now, the third house is more about communication with your higher self. So some of you, and I've been feeling this morning, and I was like, where the frack is this coming from? So literally this morning, I woke up at 4. I think I finished my meditation around 7. Okay. And when I say meditate, I'm meditating, I'm taking notes, I'm playing frequency, I'm doing some so I'm my little engineer until I feel good, until I feel like, okay, we're supposed to be. And now I understand, because all of a sudden when I was getting ready, I was hearing some chatter, and that shows this. Some of the traumas, some of the hidden fears, we're going to be supported to detach and transcend that fear, okay, through Mercury. And then moving on to the third house, we have Pluto, the master teacher of transformation. So he wants to help you destructure how you talk to yourself and allow you to hear the true voice, your true voice, the way you would truly speak to yourself, the way you talk maybe to your friends, to people you support. Have that type of conversation being yours to yourself once again. Okay, so that is a lot of work. Hi, Mike. A lot of work in those 3 houses right there. Okay, and you see it's under the horizon, so it's inner work. Yeah. Okay. Now let's move on to the 4th house. We have here Saturn. Okay. Good morning. Saturn is in those first degrees of Pisces that speaks of metamorphosis, or also called sublimation. And what that means is that caterpillar moment. Is that it's a phase of transformation that feels very uncomfortable. But there's something more beautiful that is awaiting. And this is happening in the 4th house, very close to the 5th house. So this is something that is happening in your inner home. It's not just your body, it's your whole home. It's like your vibrational field, your field of intention. Okay? And we want to make sure that this transformation, it's like the more you kind of encompass the work, physical reaction, how does it make me feel? How does it make me think? How does it make me see the world, be in the world? Then you start really encompassing much more, and this is where the greatest change can be triggered. Okay? Now, if you see it, on that Saturn, it has 2 red lines like this, okay? And it's creating, we have that T-square. I have some in my chart. Okay, so that's like a point, and then you have this opposition. That makes that Saturn super explosive. And that means some of you, if you have any type, because it's in the 4th house, I wouldn't be surprised. Childhood trauma comes back up. Family members come back roaring with whatever needs to be purged in the family dynamics. There's a lot here that is being triggered. Okay? But again, you're hearing this. So when you have someone calling you, reaching out, and blah, the old pattern. You're like, hey, I remember that. We have like 28 days where we're being supported, because I want you to realize one thing. No one is being punished. Everyone is being supported to transcend this, because there is too much suffering in this world. And it starts with you, with me, with us. So we want to transcend our pain. We want to make it our goal. We want to turn all those scars into stars. Okay, so let's move now to the 5th house. 5th house, you have Neptune retrograde that is in the position of Pisces, that speaks of endings. We are closing those doors, y'all. Look at this. That's like super supportive, because you have Neptune, and you see that blue line that goes to the cluster with the new moon? It's on Mars. And that means right now we're super supported by this blue line, because it's blue, not red, inflamed. Okay, it's blue. It's supported. That means we're divinely supported to end those cycles, to end and close those doors, to close the door of the version and the story, the book, put it on the shelf. That's it. That's for knowledge now. We don't need to live that story anymore. That's fine. So it's helping us end all of this. Okay. I love it. Now, 6th house, the way that I want you to think about this, 6th house, we link it to health. Now, my interpretation of astrology is, again, connected to feelings and connected to feeling better. And the way I see it, it's, yes, finish that book. It's like your cup. We know this, overflowing cup. Now, the 6th house is when the 1st house, 2nd house, you're building the cup, okay? Then there's starting to be the liquid of the cup. Now, the 6th house is on the verge of the 7th, where the horizon also is, but it's, where the sun sets. So in this place, it's almost like, is your cup full and able to overflow? Or is it empty? So now in that position here, where it shows about your health, so you can, whether or not, serve others, and I mean actively on the outside serve others, because you have to serve yourself first, okay? Just like in the plane, if you need the oxygen mask, okay? First you do it, and then you help others, okay? Because you can't help someone if you're drowning or you're suffocating. In that place, we have the North Node and we have Chiron in retrograde. So this is a very important message, because this speaks, especially Chiron, is in the degrees of Aries that speaks of power, initiative, or innate power. So anyone that has been a victim of any type of crime, drama, trauma, this is where victimhood could be found. This is where powerlessness, if you've been feeling and experiencing situation where you were rendered powerless, especially children, this is what we're actually purging collectively, but it has to start with us first. So anyone that has that experience needs to address that, okay? And when we need to address that, we have the collective North Node that is helping us. The degree that North Node right now is in is actually speaking of rebalancing the scales of power. I get chills everywhere, you guys. Because that means the ones that rendered you powerless, the situations that rendered you powerless, whether it's societal, ancestral, a certain person or not, whatever. It is something, as remember Mercury is helping us transcend. So yes, it comes from a person, but the person endured maybe a pattern themselves. And then it might have been endured by whole family history. And then the society was taking over. And then, so it's helping you slowly detach, so you can feel more space for you to breathe. And when you breathe, what happens is that inside yourself, you don't see it, you won't see it in MRIs or things like that. You have a divine spark. You have this divine flame connected to source. And when you give space to it, it starts to fire up once again. It can never die. If you're alive, it doesn't die. Is it dim? Is it choked? Is it whatever, shackled? Yes, it can. But you can always free that flame. It's yours. You have to remember. I get chills everywhere. So it's some of you, if you don't know, some of those spiritual chills, it's when you get chills is when you say things that you remember. So hopefully some of you are feeling this as well, that fire. Because this is very important work. It's all happening under the horizon. But it's, again, this is why I do and spend so much time doing what I do with the music, with all the stuff that I create. It's because that's like very important to my heart. That whole like energy, I just feel like, yeah, Audrey, this is like my mission. So, yeah, actually Sun Scorpio, so I don't know have anything to do with it, but yeah, you know, stepping out of the shadows, this is something that is dear to my heart. Now let's move on to the 7th house. Very important fact here. That house where we have those Taurus, we have the master teacher of your spiritual abundance, but also any type of abundance, okay? Abundance. Emotional abundance, mental abundance, amazing abundance. This is about unconditional love. Uranus is teaching you about your growth and evolution, and it's talking about joy. So we got joy and love that are connected in the house that speaks of our interaction one-on-one with people. This is where I advise, because it's cosmically organized like that for this 28 days period of time, that those relationships that do not make you feel loved and supported, or that do not bring you joy, you have to take a break from it, because you have to start bringing that physical space. Because remember, we're at the 6th house. In order for you to conquer the wounds of your past, the trauma, the scars, to find you need some space for yourself, for reflecting, for feeling. Because I can tell you, for me, my family lives in France. I've been traveling my entire life, running away from my family traumas, okay? And honestly, they felt like they were living with me all along, on all levels of body. So physical distance doesn't mean shh. Not talking on the phone doesn't mean shh either. Because they can still talk in your head. And you can still fight in your head. And how you feel about this is still there. But this is where you have to start. Because you got a couple of layers of body. Your physical self. And it's important for you so you can reclaim your light, okay? Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, okay? Some more, we don't care further. But when you have trauma, okay, that you can be far from people, but you can still hear them, you can still feel it. Obviously, you want to make sure you're physically giving yourself some space. But the next layer is your emotion, okay? So you can just imagine the people, if you imagine them being in front of you, the way you respond to that interaction without even talking, imagine the person. That's already you being able to push the button on a probably, especially if it's old trauma and big trauma, a whole reaction. It's like, you know, in those Indiana Jones movie, when you go into the cave of whatever skull and you just put the foot there and it's like, okay? Everybody got that? So that's where you want to continue. You know, you don't really need people to be in front of you or to react. And honestly, I think this is important for us to do this work without always having those moments where we're just in that fire, especially if you've been in the position of the victim. Thank you, Tanya. Listen, you guys, I don't know if it's a childhood response. I know that, you know, making light and laughing about trauma is sometimes a trauma response. But as a child, the way that I kept myself up in my vibration is that I was seeing things like a cartoon. So I do see things and feel things as a very, very much alive world. Because energy moves anyway. So yeah, I'm very fond of illustration because that's how hi honey, that's how I feel the energies. So now we have one point that I want to talk about, and that's the next one in the 8th house. I'm the same. I started doing comedy actually to alchemize. Ah, that's so good. So vertex is the point of fate. The point of fate is important because it's kind of like, okay, this is the point that tells you, if you do this, this is fated. This is, yes, I love this crystal. Thank you. This is going to help us. Now, where we have vertex is the last degrees of Taurus. Taurus is the archetype of the divine light holder. It holds the light. Aries is supposed to know the boundaries, okay? The gatekeeper, making sure we have good awareness. And then we have Taurus that holds steadfast that light. So the last degrees, they're actually talking about the home. They're talking about shelter. They're talking about you feeling safe, safety. So this is important for this whole 28 days to really see. Some of you have shared, and I appreciate, like, you know, that you experience fear, that you experience this or that. Okay, thank you for sharing, because that's not easy to first admit how we feel. But you can start doing this, and as you start doing this, you start creating ways for you to bring that security to yourself once again, especially if you have been a child that hasn't been protected by parents or people at school, teachers, educators. Thank you so much, Peter. And that's something that is important. So that sense of safety and feeling that we got this is given to us divinely, but it is something we have to reach, okay? But we're supported. Now, do you see all the way? So there's nothing. We're almost there at the end of this new moon in Scorpio, where we have Venus, okay? Your master teacher of desire and intention. That is in the degrees of Libra that actually speaks of your rituals, your habits. Are they supporting you or not? So you see that right now, and some of you, there's going to be a lot of rewiring of our self-talk, the way we support ourselves, okay? The way we can make ourselves feel like we can stand on our own, okay? There's here in the 12th house, which is the house of Akashic records. So all the things you remember, don't remember, past life, whatever, all the hidden is there. And as all the hidden is there, it's going to show you, but it's at the end of the story. So I like this. And I'll tell you why. Because it means that we're going to be able to realize what are the things that we're doing on a daily basis. The way we talk to ourselves, the way maybe like, okay, you wake up, I don't talk to myself. Well, yeah, I don't know, but maybe you talk to yourself in the mirror. But the way talking to ourselves to the mirror, especially when it's negative, I have seen myself manifest very fast, very strongly, some very, very bad things for myself. Okay? Because this is powerful. You're literally, instead of having another person, when you have a mirror, you send that feedback and boom, there's no one to protect you. You're the one also sending it. Okay, very important, the way you have a relationship to the mirror. I had that mirror was a very hard thing with me. Very, very hard. So that's a way for you to have insights. And that's okay if at first, you don't have that confidence to be in the mirror and do any type of affirmation. Take the steps that you need to take. For me, mirror at first needed a little bit off, okay? Thank you so much. Which one is that, Chris? Your video of self trick. I'm not sure what that is. I do a lot of videos. But you'll tell me. You'll tell us. So, yes, the mirror exercise is a good thing as far as how you perceive and feel, but really everything that others make you feel is something that is alive in you. So you want to make sure that if it's not something that makes you feel good or makes you feel loved, that you actually really address it. This morning, and I'm going to put it on my Telegram. Audrey, take notes. This is when I say I'm going to do something, and then people are like, where is that? Because I forgot. On my Telegram, I want to put, this morning, I was shown a video that was about some 6 common childhood lies that are common for us to experience according to some traumatic situation. And one of them, it was the number one lie. It was about love, and it says like love is not real. And it just like kind of floored me because I just remember that I was at that point at some point. Obviously I've been on this self-healing journey for years now, but I was like, whoa, like, yeah, that, and sometimes this lie's ugly head can still show up. So I will put that on Telegram. Again, the one that resonate with my channel are hopefully resonating also with this type of work because it wants to be healed at this time. Let me see, Crystal, you share something. Record yourself on video talking to self. Yes. Very good thing. If you have sometimes some things that you need to say to someone and you're struggling with it, if you have been in positions of powerlessness, sometimes it's hard because you're actually having to face. So you want to try to see it. Okay, just pretend. And what I do is like I put recording and I imagine that I have the conversation. Now, when in my position, when it was with, my parent that was the parent in my family that was abusive, it was very hard to even do that. That whole process of being able to record myself, to speak up for myself, even 40 plus years old, okay? It took me a lot. And that process of being able to speak up was so crucial to me. So crucial. By the way, this girl, I don't even know how she is able to be in front of people and talk a language that's not even her first language. Because this girl, when she was a teen, would not dare speak to a stranger and literally break down in tears if someone asked me a question. Because I was scared to say something wrong, do something wrong, and, be punished for it. So I was just like, I couldn't talk to a stranger. Like, I couldn't answer, I couldn't ask. If I was lost, I was like, I'd rather just stay where I am than ask for my direction. It took me a lot of rewiring. And I was only 15 when I was able, and I was like, Audrey, you got to get out of this. And I started with a very small step. I had to take the bus every day. And I was like, okay, you're going to take off your watch or hide your watch, and you're going to ask the time. Because the time is like not too much, like in, you know, can't bother someone too much if I'm doing that. So you see, like even when I talk about this, like you can see, it's purging my throat. It was so hard. It was so hard. I'm like, maybe they're going to, like, and I was going to say it, maybe they're going to hit me. Because that's what I was used to. That's silly to people that haven't gone through abuse. But that's how it felt. I hope all is well with your loved ones too. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Of course. But you have to make sure that you're addressing first how you feel. Okay? But thank you for that point. All right, you guys. I think that's all I have for this new moon in Scorpio. That's quite a little story. We have quite a little assignment for the next 28 days. It starts on the 13th. Okay, that cycle. Scorpio, the archetype of the messenger, the bridge between the unseen and the seen. So this is really an opportune time for diving deep into what has been holding us back and freeing this light and being able to shine our authentic self. Thank you so very much. Namaste.